today there's this request to speak about what Asalha Puja is about, and also that will lead into what Vassa is all about. I'm quite sure that most of you here already understood the meaning of what this very special day is about, which is called the Dhamma Day. And then when this was spoken, the next day, it was the beginning of the rain season in India. And at that time, the Buddha decided that, well, monastics, we shouldn't be, walking in the rain, treading onto waterways and insects that may be floating around and killing them unintentionally, of course, but this is not the way for us to practice. So at that time, the Jains were also doing the same thing. So the Buddha actually gave the advice to the monastics that during this raining season, we should actually stay at one place and then to be more intensive in our practice and to stop whatever activities that is not urgent with the outside world. So this is what all this what I call Asalha Puja and entry into rains retreat is all about. So briefly, I will just touch on it because I don't think we have lots of time. At 10:30, we have the invitation for entry into rains by all of you to the Sangha here. And I believe there are also some important announcements to be made. So for this Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, I think the recitation of it just now is just like BSV continuing to really turn the wheel of the Dhamma that was first started by Lord Buddha almost 2,600 years ago from India, right? So this is a very good reminder for us that by understanding this Four Noble Truths in these 3 phases and 12 aspects, as the Buddha has mentioned. What do we mean by 3 phases and 12 aspects, right? There are 4 Noble Truths. So the 3 phases is the first Noble Truth has to be understood. You have to understand it, it has to be understood, and then it has been understood. And the second one is, what is the cause of suffering? Craving, right? So craving has to be abandoned. It needs to be abandoned. It has been abandoned. And that is the 3 phases of the second truth. The third one is Nibbana, the way to be liberated from samsara. So that also needs to be known, to be understood, and to be abandoned, to be realized, Nibbana. The fourth one, the 3 phases of the fourth one is the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the path leading towards achieving the awakening. So we have to understand, we have to practice that. We know that is the path of practice. It is to be practiced, and it has been practiced. So these are the 3 phases of the 12 aspects of the Four Noble Truths. So most of us who have been learning Buddhism for a long time, especially those of you who are born in Buddhist countries and Buddhist families, I'm quite sure from a very young age you have already come into connection with all these teachings. But in reality, how many of us really have practiced it, understood it, right, to the core, especially the First Noble Truth, right? The one about the 5 aggregates subject to clinging, that is the most difficult to understand, right? So the other 7 factors of suffering, I'm quite sure all of us know that they are really causes of suffering, right? So craving, which is, and together with craving will come clinging and all that. Again, most of us theoretically know that all this craving is going to give us a lot of suffering and all that, right? But has it been abandoned? That is the one. Has it been really totally uprooted? And the third one is, of course, Nibbana. How are we supposed to realize Nibbana? Awakening, right? When we talk about enlightenment, it's just like having a halo around your head, but no, it's not actually that. It's really awakening to the noble truths that the Buddha has realized when he sat under the Bodhi tree at that night, when he became awakened during the 3 watches of the night. He really understood what this existence is all about and how to end it. So that is Nibbana, awakening. We are all making the endeavor to really go into that. I'm quite sure all of us are making the effort there. So with right understanding, with right view, with right intention, with the right practice of the Noble Eightfold Paths, as the Buddha has mentioned, as long as there are people who are practicing correctly the Noble Eightfold Path, he cannot see any reason why there are no arahants in the world, and he cannot see why we cannot be awakened. All right. So, of course, what is the path leading to achieving this state of the unconditioned, which is called awakening, enlightenment, or nibbana? That is the Noble Eightfold Path, which all of us are trying to aid us in our understanding of how to practice to go into the state of awakening. Right. So briefly, this is what the Four Noble Truths is all about. But it is something that is really profound and deep, which I hope all of us can really put in extra effort to really understand it, and through practice, through meditation, come to realize it. And of course, the Buddha was talking about the knowledge, arising to knowledge, and direct knowledge. So knowledge comes with certain kinds of condition, which most of us probably might have at certain stage of our practice. But knowledge, which is true direct realization, that is direct knowledge, that has to be realized. And that comes when we are really fully awakened to whatever the universal truth is all about. So that is the most important state that we have to train ourselves to get out of samsara. And then we can declare that I'm fully awakened. There's no more rebirth for me. Yeah. So briefly, this is what the Four Noble Truths is all about. Now, what is the significance of the turning of the wheel on this day called Asalha Puja Day? So I think all of us will know that Dhamma, Chakka, Pavatana, the meaning of the word itself, Dhamma is the universal truths or the teachings, right? Dhamma, Chakka is a wheel, Pavatana is the turning in motion, right? So that was the first turning by Lord Buddha, the first teaching of Lord Buddha after his enlightenment, to the 5 ascetics who abandoned him at the crucial point when he was nearly dying. But maybe that was also a blessing, because he realized, hey, I'm actually on the wrong path. As mentioned in the sutta, you cannot be too luxurious. Like when he was a prince, right? He was really protected by his parents, the king and the queen, and whoever's in the palace. He was really specially protected so that he doesn't see suffering. He realized that that can't lead him to release from samsara. And then when he was actually on the quest for release from samsara, he actually was learning from the 2 teachers, and also spending about 6 years in austere practices, really austere. He was really at the age of death, right? So then he recalled that, whoa, when I was a little kid, when my father, the king, brought me to a plowing ceremony, I was able to sit under a tree at a young age, and because of the seclusion, because of the quietness, I was able to sit there and I was able to go into stillness. So perhaps that is the way I have to train myself, not through these austere practices or through any indulgences. So he decided to take some food to regain his health again. So of course we hear about Sujata, the person who offered milk rice to the Buddha, and after taking that he regained some kind of health. And then when he started to take a little bit more food, when his health was really getting back to almost normal, although he was practicing austerity, he did declare in the sutras that his mind was really clear. But because he was able to regain his health through taking some kind of food, so he was able to really go into the practice on that night, which we call the night of his enlightenment. Yeah, and he did it in seclusion under the Bodhi tree in India at that time. And during the 3 watches of the night, he actually managed at the first watch to see his own rebirth. The second watch, he managed to see the rebirth of all beings flashing past him. And then the third watch of the night, he actually saw the causes and conditions of why beings are being reborn as a result of the conditions that we put into ourselves. So these 3 watches of the night, from what I have learned, is supposed to be like 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. first watch, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. second watch, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Okay, did I say it correctly? 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. first watch, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. second watch, and then the next watch is from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. that third watch, when he really realized all the what they call dependent origination and all those causes and effect, tilakkhana, everything, right? That's why when he was fully aware of why he was being reborn again and again and again, and why beings are reborn due to causes, conditions, then he understood, wow, this is exactly what was happening to me all these lifetimes. This is how I get out of samsara. So he managed to understand all these causes and conditions and also the way to get out of samsara. So this is a very significant first teaching of Lord Buddha after he became enlightened. So of course, according to what we have read through commentaries and even I think one or two suttas which mentioned the Buddha saying that, he didn't teach immediately after he became enlightened, right? He was hesitant because he knows that what he has realized is really so profound and so deep. So again, all of us know that it was because of this thought and Brahma's Sahampati, realizing he's from the heavens, when he realized that the Buddha was hesitant to teach the Dhamma, right? He actually came down and sort of like urged the Buddha to reconsider his hesitation to teach. So the Buddha, upon invitation from Brahma Sahampati, surveyed the world, and he realized that, yes, indeed, there are beings with little dust in their eyes, as the Buddha has mentioned, little dust in the eyes. So the comparison of this was actually compared to a lotus flower. See, in Buddhism, we always use lotus flowers, right? So the lotus flower is something that is grown in the mud, underwater, right? So we are like, in samsara, we are like growing in the mud, right? And then there are some lotus that can sprout and bloom and survive underwater. So these are probably those of us who are like trying to get out of the mud, which is like what we are doing right now. And then the Buddha realized, wow, there are the beings that are like lotus flowers that can really rise above the water level. That means they realize the truth. They are like awakened. They survive the mud, the water, underwater, and they rise above the water level. So they are blooming so beautifully. And as all of us know, the lotus is one thing that we can make use of almost every part of the lotus. It is so beneficial. So for a sentient being who is like living in mud and able to rise above the water, it's just like all of us trying to know the suffering in the mud, right? First Noble Truth. And then we know that, if we have all this craving and all those things, we have to abandon them. So we sort of sprouted out of the mud, and then we learn more Dhamma, practice more meditation with the guidance of all our teachers. So we rise above the water and we bloom like a beautiful lotus flower. Yeah. So that is a simile that was used in the books. Okay, now, what is the significance, right? So when the Buddha actually went to the deer park in Isipatana, what happened? At first, the 5 disciples who abandoned him thought that, wow, here comes the Buddha. He's given up his austere practices. He's probably, not going to get any results out of what he's abandoned. But though they decided not to really take care of him, when the Buddha came nearer to them, they were like so inspired by his countenance, his energy and all that. So they decided to take care of him. Here, take a seat. Let me wash your feet. All those things. I'm not sure whether this was done, but probably so. And then the Buddha was, and they addressed the Buddha as a friend. And the Buddha said, "Don't address me as friend because I'm not the fully awakened one, the Sammasambuddha." And of course, they want to find out, why do you say that? So the Buddha asked, "Have I ever declared to you that I am fully enlightened, that I will not be reborn again?" Okay. Yeah, they have not. So, of course, he managed to convince them to, hey, give me a chance. Let me teach you what I've realized. So he actually spoke this whole the sutta. And of course, Kondanya was the first one to really become a stream enterer. After listening to this, he actually realized the truth to the very first stage, that he was declared as the first stream winner after Lord Buddha has become enlightened. So that time in the deer park, this was the first time the Buddha spoke the sutta on the turning of the wheel. The first turning of the wheel was done there. And Kondanya was the first one to become a stream enterer. And then at that time, it was also when at that time in Benares, when all the other monastics actually were listening to further discourses after this one, they become arahants. That was the first Sangha formed there. And the Buddha, because he was able to achieve awakening by himself and also able to teach others to become awakened, he was also declared a what they call Samma Sambuddha. Yeah, so all these are the significance of what happened on that day that the Buddhas set the wheel rolling. And of course, we all know that Kondanya is the first person to be enlightened. Okay, so what time do I have? I still have about 25 minutes. Okay, now this one was spoken just the day before the rain started in India. So we know that India has 3 seasons, right? The hot season, the cold season, and the rainy season. So rainy seasons is usually between July to October in India. And coincidentally, it happens in Australia too. Winter time, I don't know about here, but in Newbury, it's cold and wet, raining, like the Buddha's time. So this is the reason why we feel very connected to the retreat time, the Vassa retreat time in India. Okay, so why Vassa? Why Vassa? So what the Buddha has mentioned, right, as I mentioned before, this is a time when monastics are encouraged to not be too active with the outside world, spend this wet season to stay at one place. And this is where the laity during the Buddha's time can invite the Buddha or the disciples to stay at a place for the 3 months and be supported for their more intensive practice and studies and reflections and all that, so that they can really get to what we call the hardwood of Lord Buddha's teaching through the knowledge and direct knowledge, leading to awakening. Okay, so during Vassa period is 3 months. So it was either the first 3 months from July to October, or I think, if I remember correctly, Ajahn, please correct me if I'm wrong. If I remember correctly, because King Bimbisara was actually so impressed by the observance and the upholding of the Vinaya and the practices of the meditation by the Arahants and the Buddha's disciples at that time, that he actually invited them to extend it by 1 more month. So that's why we have 2 parts to Vassa for monastics, either the first 3 months or the second 3 months. Yeah. So this is a time for us to really let go of interacting with others. But I know that BSV, because we have to support all the our volunteers and supporters and those who are interested to learn Dhamma, for the monastic to continue teaching here. But I think we are trying to spread out the teaching roster so that the monastics do not get too much interferences with their Vassa observation. So during the Vassa period, there are some laity who will practice with us. Like right now in Newbury Buddhist Monastery, we do have 3 or 4, I think, lay people who wants to practice the 3 months with us, at the same time supporting the monastics up at Newbury Buddhist Monastery too. So although the situation now is not comparable to the Lord Buddha's time, because we are not in a really Buddhist country and all that, so we are not able to really spend the 3 months in intensive meditation. We still need to work, we still need to maintain the monastery and temple areas and all that. So most of us monastics or the lay who are practicing with us for the 3 months, most of us are given 2 weeks of personal retreat where we totally let go of everything. Totally let go, where we can really go into intensive practice, especially for meditation. So as most of our teachers say, if we practice at least 8 to 12 hours of meditation each day, that is when your mind can really go internal and become still. 8 to 12 hours. Many of us monastics work very hard, and it's up to us to really set aside time for us to really go into practice. And of course, as the Metta Sutta has mentioned, We cannot be burdened with duties, because even when we are sitting in meditation, you'll be remembering, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I must do this, I must do that. So we try to sort of like balance our life with duties, with service, with teaching, with practice. But during the Vassa period, most monastics look forward to this period where we can really spend time just for our own practice, to be quiet and in seclusion. If we really read the Buddha's suttas, for anyone who has intent on becoming awakened, seclusion and quietude is so important, so important. So that's why even for monastics in the forest monastery, we encourage them, don't be interacting with the outside world through your mobile phone all the time. Your body may be in the forest. Your mind is actually outside in the world. There's no way for us to be quiet or still. Yeah, because of the what you call the rapidity of the responses that is expected of us. So this is a time where we encourage all our monastics, put away your phone. You want to use it as a timekeeper or alarm, fine, but don't interact with people. Don't use your phone as a social media. Just use it for something that is very relevant to help us in our practice. Okay, so that is how we will practice our Vassa in this 3 months period. Then of course Vassa will lead to the robe offering session, when you have a group of 5 bhikkhus or a group of 5 bhikkhunis practicing Vassa together. Then we qualify to have a quorum to have a Kathina. So the Kathina, of course, is a cloth that is offered through the the voluntary offering by the laity to a group of Sangha, at least 5, who practices the Vassa together, whether it's bhikkhus or bhikkhunis, right? So if we have less than 5, then we are not able to conduct a Kathina. We can only conduct what we call a robe offering or requisites offering ceremony. The reason is we need a quorum of 4 bhikkhus or 4 bhikkhunis to pass an announcement and the motions, and to raise the motion and pass the announcement that this one fully ordained bhikkhu or bhikkhuni needs a robe. So whether he or she is deserving, the whole Sangha will decide. And if the decision is yes, this bhikkhu or bhikkhuni is worthy of a robe to be offered during Kathina, then the robe cloth offered by the laity will be given to the community of either the quorum of monks or nuns who can perform a Kathina, to sew that robe on that very day, right, to be offered to that one person. So that's why we need 5 bhikkhus or bhikkhunis. But I think nowadays a lot of people just invite monastics from various places come together to form a quorum, but this is not actually according to the Vinaya rules as far as we understand it, right? So in order to have a Kathina, it's really a privilege to have 5 bhikkhus or 5 bhikkhunis coming together. The bhikkhunis in Newbury haven't had this privilege yet, but the bhikkhus probably will have it another time this year, I think so. So this is something that is so special for everyone to really rejoice in and to support the Sangha. Having 4 bhikkhus or bhikkhunis is already a community of Sangha order on both sides, but having 5 to confer something for a person needy of something, that's really very praiseworthy. And the laity really takes so much joy to ensure that this is done the proper way as recommended by Lord Buddha's time. Yeah. So I will just give an overview of the significance of all these Vassa and Asalha Puja events, right, leading to Kathina. Just as a reminder, I think most of you have already understood the meaning of all these events. So just as how important and significant Vesak Day has been celebrated, Vassa and Kathina, they are also celebrated in every Buddhist communities, right, worldwide. And whether they do it according to the early teachings of Lord Buddha or early Vinaya rules of Lord Buddha, it depends on the community who is doing it. Yeah, so we are not going to say that, well, you are not doing the right thing, you're not going to do things. We just hope that we are going to do something according to what we find in the Vinaya rules. Yeah. Okay, so the Asaha Puja Day, which is of course known as the Dhamma Day, yeah, it is actually the day that marks the beginning of Buddhism. That's how important it is. It marks the beginning of Buddhism because after Lord Buddha became enlightened, there was no teaching yet. So only because of this rolling of the Dhamma wheel and the expounding of the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta that Buddhism started, right? So that is the importance of this sutta, and also the importance of this day called Asaha Puja Day. Okay, and it is usually celebrated on the full moon of the 8th lunar month, which is lunar month, but typically here in July. And also it's the Buddha's first sermon, and also it is also the opportunity for forming the first members of the Holy Triple Gem. So of course we all know the Triple Gem is first, of course, the Lord Buddha, and then his teachings, and then the Sangha. So Kondano and the other four, altogether 5 of them, became the first Sangha. Now, the other thing is respecting the Dhamma. I have to mention this because most of us may probably respect the Buddha more and not place importance on the Dhamma. What happened to the Buddha was when he became enlightened, he was actually looking around to see who he can revere, who he can respect. He was thinking of the 2 teachers. No, they are already dead. And then he was thinking of, is there anybody in the world who he can revere? He's the enlightened one. He couldn't find anything. So if I'm not wrong, again, Ajahn, please help me. I think Brahma Sahampati came down again from the heavens and told the Lord Buddha. This may be found in the commentary. I'm not sure, because sometimes I read suttas and commentaries. I forget whether it comes from commentaries or suttas. Unless I have the sutta number here, then I can quote to you. Brahma Sahampati actually came down to the Buddha and said that, wow, the Buddhas of the past actually revere the Dhamma because it's universal truth. Nothing is more important than universal truth to get us out of samsara. So the Buddha thought that, wow, yeah, that is really a very good invitation to revere the Dhamma. That's why the Buddha decided that he will revere the Dhamma. And later on, if you read through the Vinaya rules or the Mahavakara, Chulavagga, and certain suttas of the teachings left behind the Tripitaka, you'll find that the Buddha not only reveres the Dhamma, he reveres the whole Sangha too. One very distinct example is when Mahapajapati as a nun was trying to offer the Buddha a robe, right? The Buddha actually mentioned 3 times when Mahapajapati as a nun offered Buddha 3 times, right? To offer the Buddha a robe. The Buddha says no. Please offer it to the whole Sangha, because if you refer it to the whole Sangha, I am also included, and that's more praiseworthy, that's more meritorious. So there is a sutta, I'm not sure whether it's MN117, I can't remember that, where the Buddha speaks about the 7 kinds of offerings that brings a lot of merit. So of course the first kind is offering to the whole Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha headed by Lord Buddha. So now we don't have the Buddha to head the 2 communities. Then he said the second kind of blessing of the 7 is to offer to the bhikkhus and the Bhikkhuni Sangha. All right. So then it comes down to certain members of the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sanghas, and then come down to Bhikkhu or Bhikkhuni Sanghas, and then members of either the Bhikkhu or Bhikkhuni Sanghas. So there are 7 kinds of offerings that the Buddha was recommending. So BSV has done their part to enable us to do the second kind of offerings. The Buddha is no more here, but the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sanghas are still existing in Newbury Buddhist Monastery and Buddha Loka here. So we are given such good opportunity, right? And also, some of you may be asking, I don't think that a lot of monastics are really practicing in this world. We have heard a lot of that. Oh yeah, this monk is not practicing, that nun is not practicing. Yeah, leave it up to them. Because as the Buddha has mentioned in his teachings to the monastics, just as kusa grass wrongly cuts the hand, the life of the samana wrongly lived drags one down to hell. there's always payback time. So don't think that wearing the robe is so much fun. Hey, you just don't work, you get your food, you get your whatever offered, and then we venerate to you. You are like someone so special. No, we do not look forward to those things. All right. It comes naturally, the respect from people. Just like during the Buddha's time, some people respect him, some will not respect him, right? We don't, as Sangha members, we don't practice to gain all these things, but it will come naturally if people has that confidence in you. We don't practice to get those things. This is wrong. So the offerings that come to the Sangha, that's why the Buddha, I really think that the Buddha has a lot of wisdom when he says, don't just offer to one person. Even though he's the Buddha, everyone would want to offer something to the Buddha, as we have read in the suttas, offering to a particular Buddha give us immense blessings. What about the Sama Sambuddho? Right? But the Buddha was so humble and he was so wise. If you can see what is happening now in the world, no guru worshipping. Respect the whole Sangha. The whole Sangha to collectively, with their purity, with their practices, with their so-called awakening, even if it's just streamliness, all these things are what we have just recited just now. They are the fields of merits for the world. And it is not because the Buddha said so. It's because the Buddha has understood causes and conditions. Causes and results, causes, conditions, results. Who are the people whom you respect? Who are the people you honor? Who are the people you support that will give you the blessings in life? Right? So this is something that is really what I see in the wisdom of the Buddha. No guru worshipping. Right? I think all of you have heard how some people think that, this is a really wonderful monk because they speak well, practice well, appears to be so charismatic and all that, but later on they disrobe, and then some of them go to the extent of not even wanting to practice Buddhism anymore. So I think that is really the wisdom of Lord Buddha, to say no guru worshipping, support and honor the whole Sangha, either Bhikkhuni Sangha or Bhikkhu Sangha, support the whole Sangha. But of course, nowadays, you don't find a whole Bhikkhu or Bhikkhuni community staying alone. Very rare. It's either the Bhikkhunis or the Bhikkhus. So we honor them according to what you have observed in their practice, right? In the practice and the service, as Ajahn Brahm always reminded us, you don't just practice, you also need to serve, because serving is part of the practice, right? So that you can understand the knowledge of what is non-self, right? If we are not happy in serving, our ego and self and the I, the sense of I, is just so high. If we are happy to serve without expectation in return, right, then that is really lowering and abandoning of that sense of ego, that sense of self. So all these are important teachings for us to realize. Okay, so this is about the Asalha Puja day, and of course, the first sermon, of course, is supposed to be the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta is supposed to be the first sermon, and also it is the foundational text in Theravada Buddhism. I don't think it's just Theravada. It's actually the basic sutta present in all Buddhist tradition. No one can deny that this is the most important sutta, the first sutta, with all the important facts of why we are existing in this world and how we can get out of this samsaric world. It is so important. So here, of course, is something that has an overview by someone, but I really want to act that this foundational text is present in all Buddhist traditions. Okay, so as we know, the Buddha is teaching us about not taking extremes, right? And we have to take the middle path. Okay, and the reality of the sufferings that we are going through, of course, some people were saying that life is not just suffering, there are happiness there too. Of course, there's happiness in our samsaric life. There is. We cannot deny that, but they're all very short-lived, right? So we are all just fluctuating between happiness, unhappiness, happiness, unhappiness, happiness, unhappiness. So Buddha's teaching is telling us How can we not be caught in all these emotions of happiness, unhappiness? How can we just be equanimous and see things as they are, as how they unfold, as how they happen, according to conditions, according to what we call anicca, impermanence, according to unsatisfactoriness, which is what he calls dukkha, and also there's a lot of time we can't control a situation no matter how much effort we put in. That's what we call anatta. Things happen because of causes and conditions, right? So there's no such thing as there's a self-entity in everything, whether it's human, sentient beings, or even in what you call inanimated things and all that. It's all arising and perishing due to causes and conditions, not because I want to make it happen, I can make it happen. Yeah. So it's such an important discourse by the Buddha for us to realize the reality of our existence in this world. So yes, somebody said, let's not just talk about suffering. We will talk about this world, this life itself has happiness as well as suffering. Okay, how do we get out of suffering? Fine, it's good. It's a very positive approach. Okay? But the thing is that if we find that, oh, life sucks, I want to get off here, okay, then go deep into the practice. All right. So, of course, it's also talking about cessation of suffering and also the path of the Noble Eightfold Way, leading to awakening to the truth. Okay, so that is the significance of that. And, of course, for Vassa retreat, usually in July to October, which starts this year, I think on 11th of July and ends October 7th. Am I right? I think so. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yeah. So it begins, Vassa begins the day after the what we call Asalha Puja day. So on the 10th is probably the new moon day, and then the day after, we will enter into the rains. So like, for instance, Newbury Buddhist Monastery has been built for the monks and nuns there. So we will do our own formula to recite to enter into the rains at Newbury. So whoever lay people are going to stay with us, to support us as well as to practice with us, they can do the offering to support the JUL Sangha up in Newbury during that, what do you call that, ceremony, I would call it, yeah. In the early hours of the morning after dawn break, after sunrise. So usually we do that, and Ajahn Brahm has always been telling us to keep things simple. Don't make things complicated. Just follow the Vinaya rules, do according to what the Vinaya set down by Lord Buddha wants us to do. Keep things simple so that it's easy for the laity, easy for the monastics. No complication. Just don't have too much rites and rituals. As we all know, rites and rituals is the hindrance to going into stream entry. So, of course, this is the time when we are supposed not to be traveling too much. So, of course, the Sangha has what we call a leave of 7 days. You have to leave and come back within 7 days. If there's anything that's really important, like someone wants to ordain, or someone wants to see us before dying, or a relative who needs us to give a Dhamma talk for some special reason, all these important kind of engagements, we can do it, but we have to be back within 7 days. Okay, and of course, it is a period of focused practice. Yeah, I think this is about what I can summarize for today's talk before we go to the next item on the program. I'm not sure whether there's any questions. So if there's any questions, we do the questions first before we do this offering. Yeah.
Thank you, Ayya, for a very comprehensive session and really important sutta.
First and foremost, Ajahn, is there anything you'd like to add? Please, we'll pass you the mic.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
So we'll alternate questions. There's one online, but let's see if there's anyone in the room who has a question.
No questions in the room.
Thank you so much. Oh, there's one.
There's one.
No, we've got one. Okay, we start there.
You mentioned the source of suffering is craving, and it needs to be abandoned. I wonder in our real life, can it be moderated? Can it be understood? Because craving is, I feel like it's unavoidable in our modern life. Because we want better quality of life, better career, better partner, whatever. Yeah, so how do you think about it?
Yeah. So when Lord Buddha teaches about the ending of craving, it's actually meant for those who wants to get out of samsara. So like we want to find a good life, a good status, and a good partner and all those things. These are what the Buddha says is things that is happening in the worldly sense. That means I'm still happy with my worldly existence. I'm not keen to get out of samsara. I'd rather be here, right? So we do a lot of merits. And this is what the Buddha says is mundane kind of cravings, right? But the craving that he's referring to is to get out of samsara. Poof, disappear totally from existence. So that is the difference. Okay? Understand? But even in worldly cravings, I think most of us will come to the understanding that I cannot crave for something which Ajahn always say, which the sky can't give you or the stars can't give you or whatever can't give you. We cannot crave for something which is impossible to obtain, to acquire, right? It has to be something moderate. So we can actually, as long as we are in this samsaric world, we need to live according to samsaric standards. That means what our parents always teach us. You are born, you become a good child, live according to ethics, go to school, pass your exams. When you are growing up, find yourself a partner, get married, give me my grandchildren, and all these things. Right? This is called the mundane world. There will be a lot of cravings. Like when we are working, we hope to earn more money. We hope to have a higher status. We hope to be known as Professor so-and-so. All these are cravings. But it doesn't mean that you cannot be a Professor so-and-so. There are many monastics who are Professor so-and-so, but they are so humble. Let's just look at Ajahn Brahm, right? Cambridge University physicist, hey. Like the Buddha, Prince, he went out to look for an answer to ending of worldly sufferings and all that. But they are so humble. He's a Sama Sambuddho, but he still washes the sick bhikkhu who was having diarrhea. Sama Sambuddho, okay? All right? We will think that, oh, Ayya Upekkha, you don't have to sweep the floor. He said, hey, I can sweep the floor. Nothing is wrong with me sweeping the floor. That's why we always request that don't spoil the Sangha to the core. We do what is according to the Vinaya rules. Otherwise, we take things for granted, and this is how we deplete our blessings in life to support our holy life. Likewise, for anyone staying in the monastery, you don't go there and say, Ayya Upekkha, I want to meditate for 24 hours. I'm happy to pay for it and all that. I don't want to do any work. Really? You can sit for 24 hours unless you're in jhanas. Otherwise, it's impossible. Yeah. So let's be very realistic. We are in samsara. We have cravings. Cravings for good things like, I want to practice. I want to follow the Buddha's path. These are good cravings. In the beginning, we call it craving, isn't it? Right? But they are all good cravings. Right? But craving to, I want to be a superstar. I want to be the best singer of the world or whatever. Although we are croaking whenever we sing, that's really, a high expectation of oneself. So we can crave for things that is helpful to us. But slowly, if you read the Mangala Sutta, there are certain journey for us to take. First is about how we take care of ourselves, and then we take care of our family, and then the neighbors, the society, and all. Slowly we go forward until one day we realize all these cravings is leading me to a place where I still feel empty. Something is missing in my life. What is missing? So that is when the spirituality will come in. And then when you have that spiritual, what we call SQ nowadays, right? It gives you a sense of direction. And there's more acceptance if you go into the detailed teachings of Lord Buddha, more acceptance that There's nothing in the world that I can control. I want to find a perfect husband, but he turned out to be a nasty wife abuser or something like that, right? I want to have good children, but some of the children are so rebellious, I can't even control them. All these things happening, not according to what I want, not according to what I crave for, but it's all causes and conditions coming together. So we are born into samsara for a reason, because of our ignorance. And because of our ignorance, we start to crave. And because of our craving, we give the conditions for us to be reborn again and again and again. Even right now, if I'm a bhikkhuni, then I want to tell myself, I want to make sure that I'm very well known as a Bikkhuni Upekkha. Hey, that's giving myself fuel to be born again. The moment I say I want something, the moment I say I wish to be somebody, that's adding fuel to my coming back again. And that's what I understand by the dependent origination under bhava, becoming. Most of us do that without knowing that it's going to cause us another rebirth. We were just talking about that last night. Yeah. Do you really want to come back again and again and again and again? Ajahn Brahm also does the same thing to us. You really want to come back again and again and again and again? How many times do you want to come back? Haven't you suffered enough? Yeah. So these are things that we really need to deeply reflect. That's why we always tell those who are in meditation retreats, don't just sit there enjoying the peace and calm. Even if you don't get into jhanas, you still feel good. I have no disturbance at all. It's all my time. I'll just sit here, in complacency. I'll just enjoy my time. What about really deeply reflecting? What do I want to do with my life? What is my direction of life? What is the purpose of my life? Right. Even if you say you want to give back to society, okay, are you prioritizing what you can do? Or are you really giving yourself wholly out to outside, but not for yourself? There is no balance in your practice, or I wouldn't call it practice, even your livelihood. You must know how to love yourself so that we can love others. We have to understand what is happening, because the Buddha has mentioned when we understand what is happening to us, right? We understand what is happening outside, but whether we know how to relate to them or not, that is the skill that we need to learn. And compassion must always come with wisdom, because a lot of people actually have compassion, but they get entangled with emotions, right? So it's just like the Buddha. Kisa Gotami came to him with a dead son. The Buddha did not say, oh, you stupid woman, how can you revive a baby that has passed away? No, he was very kind. Go to every household. Get me a what call mustard seed, is it? Yeah. From a family that has never experienced death in the family. So she went to every family. Somebody lose a father, somebody lose a mother, grandfather, grandmother, a son, a wife, a husband. Every one of us has lost somebody. Anyone here has never lost anybody? You just trace back to your lineage. Anyone who has never lost anyone? No. This is the truth. This is the truth that happens to everybody. Yeah. So when Kisa Gotami went to a few households and realized that no one is spared from someone passing away, she became, I would say, awakened to the certain level of truth, that death is always there. And it comes anytime, whether we are old or young. It happens to us. Yeah. So we have to live our life. Yes, we don't. Buddhism is not trying to throw cold water at you, or not to throw cold water at all of us who is practicing Buddhism. No, it's teaching us how to live life in a very lively, energetic, helpful, compassionate way with wisdom. Knowing that anytime things can happen to us because of the impermanence of that is the nature of this world. As long as we accept all these facts of the world means anything is able to change any time. Is there something you can control? No. Some people actually tell me, I've been retrenched. I can't get back my same job. So I have to become a bus driver or something like that. I've been very highly educated, but there's no other job available for me. So I'm willing to become a bus driver. That is something that is praiseworthy, because you're not stuck to, I must be so-and-so in whatever company I go to. We have to be adaptable to changes and accept changes. Yeah. So all these things are truth that dawns on us whether we accept it or not. But if we accept it, it's easier for us to move forward with life, right? When I came here to Newbury, I was hoping just to take care of nuns, but I was involved in a lot of other things. 10 years, I told them, grueling 10 years. Okay, I never expected that to happen. But hopefully with all the support from all of you and all the monastics out there and the people who come in to volunteer and all that, we managed to, thrive through the 10 years and arrive at what we have today. We are able to support our lay supporters who support us now with a meditation, no meditation hall yet, but at least 24 cottages for anyone who wants to go for an organized retreat or self-retreat. So it's now really a reality to reciprocate each other. So the Fourfold Assembly of Lord Buddha is not just to benefit one person or one group. It's reciprocal in every way. The laity and the Sangha members, right, male, female, monks, nuns, reciprocate. This is how we support one another. Why? Because Lord Buddha said we are all interconnected, whether we see it or not, whether we understand it or not, whether we wish to accept it or not, we are all interconnected. If you go in depth into the teachings, you will understand that. Sorry, 10 minutes, 11 minutes over time.
All right. So there are a couple of questions online. I'm going to combine them because they're both about daily practice. One is, really, why do we only do this intensively during Vassa? Shouldn't this be done every day, regardless of whether it's Vassa that you should be working towards liberation? And then the other is, as you do this daily practice with meditation, you're releasing the subconscious into the conscious to release it. So the good thing is release, and I guess maybe related to your explanation just now, but doesn't this also, in the process, create some suffering when you release this blocked subconscious out?
Yep.
Does it also release some suffering?
Yeah, you are perfectly correct. Yes, there's a lot of things that is deeply suppressed in our hearts and in our consciousness, right? Something that we refuse to acknowledge or deal with. So they are really, pushed right down into the subconscious, right? But when we are quiet, when we are reflective and quiet, all these things will surface. Of course, it will bring us suffering. As I've mentioned last night, someone who thought that they have actually overcome the traumatic experiences did not really get over it. It was still in there. So when it was a time for quietness and seclusion, all these things surfaced again and they were reliving the emotions again. But the good thing is when you know that it's there, you know how to deal with it. You must find a way to deal with it. So that will create the release for us, right? That will create the release for us. You can talk to someone who is either professional in dealing with all these kind of traumatic incidences, or even to what I call religious practitioner. It helps us because most of us are dwelling in the past. So all these deeply suppressed emotions of experiences we had before, they are all in the past, but they are haunting us a lot of times. Most of the time we just sweep them under the carpet because we are so busy every day doing what needs to be done for now. So we don't have the time or even the skill or even have the opportunity to meet with someone who can really help us deal with all these things. And as I mentioned many times, usually for those of us monastics who are very busy, answering to the first question, of course, we wish we could do it every day. Even as monastics, we look forward to having our own time without having to do so much work. This is the purpose of why we renounce a householder's life, to go into more intense practice every day. If we can have 8 hours to sit and 12 hours to sit without worrying about this is not done, that is not done, that will be perfect, right? But depending on the situations we are in, right? Like Newbury Buddhist Monastery, if Ayya Upekkha was to sit there for 8 hours a day and the other people are working through their bones, I don't feel good. I wish to be part of the work team, get things done, then all of us sit together. And then if I have my personal time, I can dedicate more time to sitting by myself. Because other people may want to do their research or Vinaya, research work, Dhamma research work, understanding more about basic interpersonal skills and all those things. But if I'm keen to practice more and more, whenever I have that time, then I will dedicate more times to it. Right. So it's not just the 2 weeks of Vassa. The 2 weeks of Vassa for us is really like what you call a bonus. It's really like a bonus. If we have the chance, if our dear president say, Ayya Upekkha for every day of the year, all the monks and nuns just practice meditation. You don't have to come here to teach. Oh, we say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. But it's not possible. We are not able to sit every day. We need to balance it with learning and practice and service. That is what life is all about. It's very rarely one-sided. But when we are able to be given that intensive period to really practice, 2 weeks is never enough, I can guarantee you. 2 weeks is never enough. 3 months at least is a period that we really settle our mind down and then really go into deeper meditation and reflection. And then you get little insights, even if you don't go into a jhana. So if you can get 3 months off for Vassa every year, that will be wonderful. All the monastics will go sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yeah, so that is the answer that I will give. Okay.
Thank you, Ayya, for the talk today. And Kongwei, we're going to be making an invitation for the Sangha to
both Sangha community.
Both Sanghas for the Vassa. Kongwei is just going to turn on the projector because we'll do it together. But I got distracted at the start and I forgot to introduce Ayya Upekkha. She is the senior nun at our monastery at Newbury, and Ajahn Brahm is currently residing here at the Buddha Lotus Centre in the vihara next door. Okay, so before we do this, Michael wrote up a really nice context for this. So I thought I'd just read this out. So for more than 2,500 years, the Bhikkhu and Bhikkhuni Sangha have formally entered the 3-month retreat season of the Vassa, which, because it corresponds to the annual South Asian monsoon season, is also colloquially known as the Rains. The entry to the Rains retreat is an important opportunity for the lay community to offer their support during the retreat period, and in doing so, it plays a small role in ensuring the continuation of the turning of the wheel of the Dhamma. As a request of the Sangha, as the request for the Sangha to spend the Vassa with us entails a pledge of support, I would like to note that the most essential types of support required are lunchtime offerings, medicines, and donations to heating costs. The other requisites of robes and dwellings are sufficient for now. So now, let us now continue the ancient reciprocal tradition by formally offering an invitation to enter the Vassa to Ajahn Brahm and Ayya Upekkha, who will receive it on behalf of the Sangha at the Newbury Monastery and the Buddha Lotus Centre. So please join me in making this request. So now together, we can recite this. So I'll lead that if you like. So, dear Venerables, with great respect, we invite you on behalf of all Sangha at Newbury Monastery and the Buddha Lotus Centre to spend the Vassa season at these centres. During this time, we undertake to provide you with the 4 requisites, that is, robes, alms food, shelter and medicine. It is our sincere wish that this support will allow the Sangha to reside comfortably and provide the necessary foundation for fruitful and beneficial practice during the Vassa. We extend this invitation on behalf of all so that we may also be encouraged to engage in meritorious activities such as almsgiving, virtuous conduct, and meditation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So that concludes. That's it. So thank you very much, Ayya. Thank you very much, everybody. So now we'll take
Do the conclusion?
yeah, the conclusion.
Yeah,
so-
I like to conclude with the Arahang thing, the recitation. Maybe in the future you can put it up there. I'm not too sure whether it can be done. Yeah. But those of you who know how to recite, please recite with me. Yes. That is actually having the what I call the reinforcement of our confidence in the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Okay. Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Sangham Namami. Thank you, Ajahn, for being here, and thank you to all of you, especially our committee members, and thank you to BSB for allowing all of us to come here to practice. Yeah. So please remember to support BSB according to your capacity.
Thank you, Ayya. And please join us next door for the lunch offering and the rice pinnapada.
So we got distracted, but so please just look up the newsletter or online. But what is happening today, which we would normally announce, is a 12:30 in the library for those who want to join in a lay discussion upstairs. Thank you.
Actually, it won't be upstairs, it'll be downstairs. Well, yeah, because it allows us.